Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon when you're going to be seeing this. Neom is here, giving you another video. International break is over, and now it's time to get back to the Premier League. All about Arsenal news. Looking forward to this weekend. But first of all, I thought we got to talk about some news that has been festering around over the last couple of days, and I think it's time to talk about it because it's not going anywhere, and that is Pepe rumored to be leaving Arsenal. At least according to Court Offside, Eriksson says that reportedly Mikel Arteta is ready to let Nicolas Pepe leave the club after his poor form this season. Gotta say, based on that, I mean, he hasn't really been getting a lot of games to be talking about poor form. But it then goes on to say that the report states that Arteta has given the green light to allow Pepe to complete a transfer away from North London this January for a reduced fee of 30 mil. Wow. From 72 to 30, that's shockingly bad. Uh, it says that he could be a real bargain, but unfortunately, there aren't seems to be a list of any teams that are said to be interested in this article. But the same rumor as came about last week in the Express, talking about potentially he might go to France as being a destination. I've also heard talks of Spain being one as well. And I have to say that even though I don't think that he's had a bad run of form, what I think the issue with this whole Pepe situation is that he's just not getting games. And I mean, I don't know what he's doing in training. I refuse to believe he's just sitting down and doing nothing. I mean, he makes the bench the majority of the time. And it's just a simple matter of fact is that the manager just isn't playing him. And I was thinking about this before I did this video. And I started thinking, like, there are so many times this season we thought, you know what, Saka needs a rest, Smith Rowe needs a rest. Maybe it's time to bring on Pepe, even if Saka and Smith Rowe were to start. And I thought, okay, that's fine. Like, let's bring him on 60 minutes, 70 minute, nothing. 80-minute, nothing. 90-minute, we see Martinelli, but still no Pepe. And you gotta say, it does seem that Pepe is way down the pecking order on what it should be. Like on that right, it's Saka, Martinelli, and then Pepe. When in fact it should be Pepe, Saka, and then Martinelli. Um, for a player that costs 72 million, he isn't getting the games that he should be. He should be almost considered undroppable, but at the very least one of the first players on the team sheet, and that's nowhere to be seen. And I gotta say that it's been pretty disappointing to see him not getting games. I don't understand why, but I think the natural assumption is that Mikel Arteta doesn't really fancy him that much, and I don't think he's ever really fancied him at Arsenal. And I know he's one that 50, he's divided between fans. 50% love him, say that he has to play. The other 50% say, nah, we should get rid of him. For me, I'm somewhere in the middle in that I don't think he's worth the 72 million that we paid for him. He's a very skillful player and I think can be useful. Probably more so on the left rather than on the right, where I think he's one dimensional and just does the same thing over and over and over again. Um, yeah, if we sold Nicolas Pepe, I wouldn't be crying about it. The question I would be asking is, okay, who's coming to replace him, or who are we getting in that's going to just to supplement us? Maybe not necessarily spend another 72 million on a player, or even bring in a player that's as experienced as him, which I do kind of think that we need to. Maybe someone that's like 25 years old, who's just got a little bit more experience in Saka, someone that can give us goals, someone that is more versatile than Pepe, is someone that I'd like to see. But for me, I think what it really comes down to is these rumors kind of won't shut up until Pepe gets on the pitch a lot regularly. At the very least, for like in the starting 11, we've got Liverpool on Saturday, and I gotta say that to see I expect to see Pepe. Um, and if he doesn't even get on the bench, or if he doesn't even get minutes in this game, then that just tells you where everything is right now. But just a little bit of food for thought for everyone to consider when it comes to Nicolas Pepe. I do think his time at Arsenal is going to be done soon. What he's now going into at the end of the season, the last 2 years of his contract. So you kind of have to decide on what you want to do with Pepe, whether you want to give him a new deal or whether you're going to sell him. And for me, if I had the choice, I would sell him. But leave your thoughts below if you differ from me, or if you agree that with me. Like, leave your thoughts below on that. And then finally, there was some news on Folarin Balogun. It said that Folarin Balogun is set to be loaned out, at least over the past couple of days. And I completely agree. I just don't think he's ready for the Premier League. To all the Nketiah haters out there that were trying to tell me uh, over a year ago now that Balogun was better than Nketiah, and I was just like, you've got to be kidding me. And everything that we've seen from him so far this season has kind of proved that yes, he's a good young striker, but he is still pretty early on in his development and is going to need time, and is going to need experience. And this rumor coming up with Folarin Balogun with Middlesbrough, and said that the new Middlesbrough manager Chris Wilder, formerly a Sheffield United manager, said to be interested in him, and they said to be a loan for at the very least half a season. Um, I don't know whether this one is got some legs in it, but I do think that the one thing we could take from both stories is the fact that there potentially could be a transfer for Pepe, and there potentially could be a transfer for a loan for Balogun, whether it being to the Championship or somewhere else. I'd say probably the Championship makes sense for English football, to see how he does there. If he is able to go there for half a season and score maybe 10, 15 goals, then that would tell you where he fits, especially if he's starting week in, week out. My guess is that he'll probably be used as like a supplement player, someone to kind of bring a regular to bring up off the bench until he earns Wilder's trust. And then, yeah, depending on his performances, will be dependent on how he does on loan. But I do think that a loan is still the best option for him there. I think he's one of our options for the future. You know, I talked about in my last video that when Arsenal start looking for another striker, another experienced striker, to replace Aubameyang and Lacazette, respectively, they're going to need to get the balance right between someone that's ready right now, someone that's maybe more experienced, and then you got your four young strikers for me in Balogun, Mola, John Jules, and Martinelli, who are the four strikers that the club I want at least one to two of those to kind of make it at Arsenal. Who those look like, I have no idea. Just based on I'm a Martinelli fan, but he hasn't pulled up any trees this season, and yeah, you can make the argument that yeah he hasn't scored. He hasn't been playing and hasn't been on long enough to play. But nevertheless, we're going to need at least one to two out of that four to come good for the Arsenal. Hopefully, Martinelli is one of those, but you got to say that we need to make sure that these young players are getting enough experience. I think it's pretty difficult, and I think that all four of them, that's right, all four of them should be going out on loan, and that's including Martinelli to kind of get some games, especially if we're not going to be playing them. Um, Maybe Arteta's kind of hoping with the African Cup of Nations, he'll go up and start playing Martinelli up front, or starting Martinelli more, with obviously kind of Pepe going with the Ivory Coast in January, and that's if he decides to really go. Um, but let's see how all of that works out. I thought it was some pretty interesting news between those two players, and I think the future is bright for Arsenal. Um, I think it's a pretty good start to the week to kind of hear this news. Lots of potential in Balogun and a potential transfer for Pepe. But leave your comments below on your thoughts on this. Please do remember to comment, like, and subscribe. Does help the channel out. And I'll see you all on my next video, which would be probably sometime tomorrow as we lead into the Christmas and start entering closer to the January transfer window. Until then, see you in my next video.